Hi, Davin Zenvik here with the catch today, going over hunting story number 14. Now, this one's a special one for a variety of different reasons. In case you're new to the channel, this is the hunting story that actually started our 12 survival skills everybody needs to know series because I was stuck for 3 days at the end of the hunt. So if you don't want to miss out on any of the details on this story, definitely stick to the end because it is a cool one with a bunch of learning lessons along the way. So let's get started. There's two reasons why we make these videos. The first reason why we make the hunting story videos is because if you're going to get advice from somebody on the internet, you're going to want to hear their experience. So that's the reason number one. Second reason is in case any of my friends or family want to get into hunting or fishing, they can hear my story along the way, hear my progression, and just see that you can really go from zero skills to being a fully independent hunter, killing animals all on your own. And this is that story. This is that story that makes me really that independent hunter that can do it all on their own. And let's go into why. So the reason why, and it starts off in 2019, where a friend of ours that actually helped us hunt our bull elk in this area. So I did have some experience. He showed me some spots where he liked to hunt elk. I did my own independent research since that time and kind of created a formula and a plan on what I was going to do in this hunt in 2022. Now, this is a party hunt with my dad. We go up on the first day. My truck has some issues. Not a big deal. We leave my truck on the side of the road. We go into a certain canyon. And from there, we're kind of at the edge of it. We spend a few days in there. We see some elk. We try to chase after them. We're parked in the bottom of the canyon. And at the top of the canyon, we're seeing the elk. And so we're trying to climb up these steep, snowy, icy slopes and just tumbling and getting absolutely humbled. So after a few days of that, we pick up my truck, fix it just enough to get it started and running, get it into town where I can get some coolant in it so it's safe for the night. And then I decide to sacrifice that fourth day hunting. We go into town, get my truck fixed, and and do all the things that you do while you're in town and resupply, get back. And on day 5, this is our opportunity to kind of make it or break it, right? My dad was kind of getting done with the trip. First few days didn't go the way he had wanted to. So while we're there, he decides, he goes, hey, look, we'll go out one more day. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to go home on day 6. You can keep hunting if you want to. So I spend all day on day 5 hiking into some of those areas that I really wanted to glass out, but I hadn't got the chance so far. So I'm out there pounding pavement, and I hike up a hill, glass around, get back to the truck, drive a little further south of that canyon where we had stayed in. Go up the hill, glass around, go a little further south. We keep doing that, and my goal is just to get information for that day 6. So the end of day 5 comes around, we create a plan. I say, hey, look, I'm just going to keep moving further south from where we had left off at. I think that there are elk there. I just think they are moving south, and I need to find them. And all I got to do is just start where I left off at. And so that's what I do. I keep, going up, trying to go up little spurs on the road to save time to see if my truck can make it. So again, I'm testing the edge, the very limit of what my vehicle is capable of after I had already had a mechanical issue with the truck. So as you can tell from your host, he's a genius, isn't he? Hopefully you can get the sarcasm there. But anyway, eventually I do find a spur where I can get up onto a ridge and I can ride the ridge up towards a much larger mountain. And I'm riding the ridge, and all of a sudden I get to a point where I'm like, it's kind of flat, it's a good parking spot, I can see for quite a ways. This is what I've been looking for the entire time. And it's still early in the morning where elk should be out and about moving. So I park the truck, and I start glassing, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, man, I don't even think it's safer to go much further. So I'm kind of glad I found this spot. To me, that was like the edge. That was like my anchor. That was like this is where you go, and you don't drive the vehicle beyond this point. And when we're done hunting this area, we're going to drive, the truck down the hill. That's it, kind of thing, right? Exactly the way that we went. So I see some elk 5 miles away. I see some other elk 3 miles away. And then I hear some elk behind me. And as the crow flies, they're probably 800 yards, maybe to a mile away. But because there's some terrain, there's a big valley between them and I. It's maybe 1,200 yards on foot, out to about a mile and a half. It's a pretty good ways. So I create this plan. I'm going to go up one draw, go down the other. Well, I'm not even halfway up, and I find an alternate route, and I'm like, we're going to take it. It's a little bit closer. It's a little bit riskier to, I might spook the elk, but I'm like, shoot. I'm like, what other options do I have here, man? Like, I've got the elk right here. What am I going to do, hike 3 hours just to lose the elk and for 6 days of hunting and all this risk and all this energy, all this time just to do what, right? So anyway, I get about 300 yards from the bottom of the drainage there, and elk that were sleeping had popped up. It's pretty obvious that I disturbed them, that I was the cause of them being awake, but they looked around and they didn't look directly at me. I think they were pretty confused and they weren't really spooked yet. They just ended up walking over to the rest of the herd, and I was actually able to walk through where they were sleeping at and start going up the hill between over like a little mound in the terrain. So I was a little bit concealed as long as I stayed on the other side of that mound. The reason why I wanted to be on that mound, I wanted to get to the top. There was this cow elk that was particularly larger than some of the other cows. I think she was a little bit older or mature. If she wasn't, she was just bigger. But she was on the edge of the herd, and I liked that. There were other bulls mixed into the herd at certain spots, and I didn't want to come over that mound and then right in the middle and risk spooking some bulls that would have been in the way of a nice shot on a cow. So that's something I definitely wanted to avoid. So with that being said, I get up to the top, I start coming over that ridge, and if you had watched my pronghorn hunt where I used brush to get in the way, now the brush is in the way, and it's kind of a good thing because my gun jams, so I have to reload, and she's bedded down right on the edge, and I can kind of vaguely make out her body shape through the brush. I mean, she's about, I looked it up on the map later on, I think she's about 100 yards away. But really on the map, I did the line distance, and it's estimating that I was about 120 yards. So my estimate was close, but not great. So I'm reloading real quick, and I go to pull the gun up, and this brush is in my way, and there's a bush right to the left of me. So if I try to scoot over, the brush is like knocking into my scope and just causing all kinds of havoc. Well, anyway, in some of this commotion, she starts to stand up, and she still can't see me. But she takes a couple of steps to her left and then a step towards me, and she's facing directly at me. It's a frontal shot. And I'm like, look, it's 100 yards. It's with a gun I'm comfortable with. I'm in a seated position. It's not perfect, but I'm steady. Take a nice, slow, steady squeeze of the trigger. Boom, hit. I know it's a hit. Everything, it just erupts with chaos, though. She's like bleeding and like walking, up the hill, and the rest of the elk are creating a ruckus, almost like in Lion King, where the wildebeest are just running down the valley, in case you've ever seen that scene. Now, obviously these elk are running away from me, so in a matter of seconds, all the commotion dies down, and all I see is her slowly working her way up the hill. And I don't want her to go over that ridge, because I want her to be on the downhill side where I can roll her down closer to my truck instead of on the other side where she could potentially roll down and get further away from my vehicle. So I take a second shot at her, and I don't even know if I hit her. I don't think I do, because I never found a second bullet hole. I did find a second hole in the hide later on, but I don't know if it was from the knife or from the bullet. Anyway, it's unconfirmed, but I'm like 90% sure I missed the second shot. Either way, she changes her direction. She goes over this much smaller mound, which is angled towards my truck, which is about 80 yards away from where I shot her. So quite a long blood trail to follow. But I blood trail her. She's dead. Nice and clean kill. For context, this is on a Friday morning. I then spend the rest of the day packing out half of her. Then I spend the other morning on Saturday packing the other half of her out. that big accomplishment. I just killed my first big game animal all by myself. It's an elk hunt. I packed it out by myself. Like, I'm feeling on top of the world. Drive down the hill, and I get to the main road, and I have a choice. Do I go back the way that I came, or do I keep going further south, the direction where I said I was going to be going, and the direction where I said I was going to be hunting? And I thought to myself, I'm like, some of this terrain has been kind of rough. I'm like, I've already had a vehicle get stuck. I was like, and if I make the decision, I'm going to go the direction I say I was going to be in case my vehicle gets stuck or in case my vehicle doesn't run. A little bit of foreshadowing. In case you don't know, my vehicle does get stuck. The terrain gets worse and worse and worse until I hit this mud puddle that's about 200 feet. And I've been crossing a lot of mud puddles this whole time, so I think nothing of it. I start running through it, and 10 feet before dry ground, my truck just sinks into the mud and just gets, stuck to no end. So the details are on another video series. If you want to watch our Wilderness 101 playlist, that video explaining everything is in that playlist as far as my survival experience. However, I'll give the short footnotes. 3 days later, so I'm stuck on Saturday. So all day Saturday, I'm trying to get unstuck. All day Sunday, I'm trying to run notes down the road to try to see if people can find me, try to see if I can get a hunter that's leaving the area real quick before nightfall, before people got to go back to work on Monday. And my call-in time for my family was Sunday night. So Sunday night comes, and I know I'm going to be freaking out my family. So once that's over, we get into what do you call it? Sorry, I'm blanking here. We get into Monday. All day Monday, I'm creating systems in case I'm going to be there for a while. I know search and rescue's on their way. I know that my family's freaking out. I know whatever mess I caused is undoable at this point. Sure enough, right around 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, just as the sun's starting to go down, I hear some voices, I hear some yelling, and it is the game warden, and they take me off the mountain. So I don't want you to have an experience like that. So a couple of takeaways I would give you if you're watching this video all the way to the end. The first one is, don't underestimate the feeling of accomplishment that a solo hunt can bring you, right? Hunting on your own can be an art. It can be very rewarding. It can be very fulfilling, and you don't have to go this hardcore in order to make it happen. But if you do go hardcore and you do really want to be successful, it is worth it. The thing that I will say is, don't let it bring cockiness into the ability of your vehicle. I feel like that is the number one thing that can cause you to die or to cause you to get in a position where you really regret it, is what you do with your vehicle. I think most things that happen with the body, as long as your vehicle is operational, you're gonna be okay in most scenarios. But if you can't operate the vehicle, that's where it can go downhill really quite fast. So with that being said, I appreciate you for watching the video. Definitely leave a comment and like if you've gotten this far, and we'll see you next time.